There's nothing more unassuming than a bowl blank. It's just sitting there, waiting for its layers to be stripped away and its beauty to be revealed to the world. You're going to see in this video some influence from another turner on YouTube. His name is Stuart, and I'll link his channel in the description. He loves creating bowls with large flat surfaces that he uses as a canvas to experiment and play with colors and textures. As we begin turning this bowl blank, it's starting to reveal some of its secrets. Let's talk about the planning that went into engineering this bowl blank. I started with a normal piece of wood that I dyed black. Then I arranged sticks on the top of it in a circular pattern. I filled the gaps of these sticks with a very dark blue resin, and that is the origin story for this bowl blank. Now we are starting to create the tenon for the bowl. We're going to remove the resin that was on the surface and expose the wood. As you can see, the wood's not just dyed on the surface, it's dyed all the way through. Let me show you how that's done. This is the vacuum chamber, and when I put the lid on, the vacuum pump will suck the oxygen and all the gases out of the chamber. And I'm going to use this blank here that is salted but also and I can put on it, and I'm going to suck this black liquid, which is called cactus juice, into this wood and saturate it. It'll take about 24 hours, but once it's done, I'll take it over to the toaster oven and cure that cactus juice, that resin, so that this is hard and usable again on the lathe. When the vacuum comes on, watch the brick. Do you see that? That's just so fascinating. Back at the lathe, our blank is all chucked up and we can start shaping it the way we want it to look. I think you'll notice that this dyed wood comes off and there's this black powder all over everything. You definitely want to be wearing some sort of air respiration system, a positive flow mask, something to keep that out of your lungs. You'll notice I keep switching back and forth between my bowl gouge and these carbide tools. Mostly it's because with all that camera equipment, it's hard for me to get the right angle I want, but these carbide tools are really growing on me. I'm enjoying the flexibility I have in using them. As more and more of the material is removed from the blank, you're starting to be able to see other aspects that we engineered and I showed in the animation. If you look at the top now, you can see the sticks. I'd like to take a moment to show how I put those sticks in place. Before we put that into the vacuum chamber and infused it with all the cactus juice, it looked a lot like this. And then when I pulled it out, this is what we got. This is light as a feather. This is quite heavy. You can see when I put it into the toaster oven where the resin kind of dripped out of it again. And you still see we have our spalted marks, although now that it's dyed black, it's quite a bit less. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to maybe set that piece of wood down. We're going to take this, it's an old blank, we're going to put it into the center here, and then we're going to take these pieces and put them all around the edges. And then I have some pussy willow here as well, and we're going to incorporate all that stuff. But we're going to hold these in with this UV resin right here, and then it'll be all placed into a bucket, and we'll put some resin in and make it permanent. All right, I'm going to get started on that. Laying these sticks out, I tried to imagine what the bowl would look like as these sticks were cut away, leaving the cross sections behind. Our little wood guide that we have in the center is going to stick out like a sore thumb, no pun intended. So back at the lathe, that wood guide is now a problem, so we're going to cut it off. And unfortunately, I lost the footage of hollowing the bowl. Instead, I'll send you back in time and give you a moment of resin pouring zen. I like to take simple pleasures from life, and for some reason, watching resin flow like this is one of those things for me. I hope you enjoy it as well. With the resin all poured, it's time to put this in the pressure pot. So, like I said, I forgot to record hollowing the bowl. What you see me doing now is using UV resin to fill some of the holes and gaps that were created during the turning process. I'm also taking this time to make any final adjustments before we go over to the finishing table and make everything permanent. I think anyone that does projects like this working with wood and resin loves this step, because when you apply the finish, it's the first time you're going to get a taste of what it's going to look like as a final product. Now that the finish is applied to the top of the bowl, it's time to go over to the vacuum chuck and finish the bottom.
Wow!
The bowl is now flipped around and we can quickly remove the tenon off of the bottom. Now you see me marking where I'm going to place my maker's mark. After I use the calipers to create a groove, I can then use my tools to create a small cavity for the maker's mark. Instead of you having to watch me create this cavity, I'm going to send you over to my laser to let you watch it just tear apart a piece of pewter as it engraves my logo. With that cavity created, waiting for the maker's mark, we're ready to go over to the finishing table. I got a little excited here with the super glue, but that's okay. Plop that finishing mark in, let the super glue dry a bit, and then spread out our finish all over the bottom of the bowl. A couple coats of finish and a few blasts of UV light, and we are ready for the close-up.